everybody, welcome back to Cottoverdi. My name's Annette and today is a glorious day here in South Buckinghamshire in the UK. I live in what is equivalent to a zone 8A. It is mid-May and I am going to be giving you a tour of the back garden. I'm going to show you everything that's in flower at the moment. I'll put the names up on the screen. I'll try to anyway, of all the plants that I mention in case you're interested in finding those plants for yourself. This is not a perfect garden, it is a real garden. This is where we live. It's just my husband and I who do the gardening here. So there are weeds and there are things that need pruning and tying in and cutting back, and the lawn needs mowing. It's not a lawn anyway, it's covered in weeds. But come with me while I show you everything that's looking stunning. I really am absolutely thrilled with how everything's starting to grow. Let's have a look. Let's start with this combination here, which I think is so cool. This tulip, it is definitely coming to the end of the season, so it's not as bright, it's more a muted colour. But this tulip is called Amazing Parrot, and it's right next to a heuchera that is in flower, and I just think it's looking so good. Like, they really tone in beautifully, and I particularly like my little copper bird bath in the background. I think that colour ties in quite nicely. There's a self-seeded kind of very pale blue Aquilegia behind it. I'm going to give you a close-up. So I've actually got a couple of different heucheras here. This one is a lovely sort of silvery tinge to it, and this is the one that's in flower at the moment. And then behind there's like a coppery orange one. It's got a bit of pink on the back of the leaves. So I think the tablescape is still looking super pretty, but the reality of the situation is that this table is also covered in dahlias that I've been trying to keep away from the slugs and snails. Over here on one of the patio beds, we've got the first of the flowers from the Thalictrum, super fluffy and cute. And then just below that, the Geranium ballerina is starting to flower. Not sure why all the flowers are on the outside and not on the inside. Over here the patio bed's still looking super cute with the tulips, but I seem to have a self-seeded Californian poppy. There's a little Californian poppy in the corner. So on this bed we're starting to get some lovely alliums, and there are so many different varieties of Aquilegia. Most of these are self-seeded, but there's also some Erysimum that I planted early on in the year. My salvia is starting to bush out. The lavender will be in flower soon, and there's loads of little Nigella seedlings scattered around. So this is an Aquilegia that I planted, and then the pink one behind it is not one I planted. That is a self-seeded one, as is the dark purpley blue one behind that. I don't really like that colour, to be honest with you. And then the Astrantia starting to come into flower as well. And at the back we've got some lovely dark foliage, and this is from a penstemon called Husker's Red. It is a little bit of a messy plant, so I like the foliage, but I don't particularly like the messy kind of off-white flowers that come from it. This is my favourite Aquilegia, and it's a self-seeded one that grew last year and I fell in love with it. And it's just got this, it's so fluffy and it's quite a big flower, and then it's got this purple and white stripe on the inside. I think it's so pretty. So these standard roses that we planted really recently, I think we planted them this year in 2024, but earlier on this year, and they're looking really healthy and growing really well. The other thing that's flowering at the moment is this Deutzia called Yuki Cherry Blossom, and it's so pretty. It's doing exactly what I wanted it to do, and coming over the front of the sleepers here, you know, and over the years it will just dangle more over the sleepers. I planted it really close to the corner here. It's so intricate and just really, really pretty. The flowers are white and they've got this kind of pink tinge to them, and then pink stripes on the back side, I think, which sort of really adds to the cherry blossom feel. And then this is one of my all-time favourite views, One of my favourite things that we've done recently in the garden is to put up this really tall arch here, and it really frames the viburnums so beautifully. I've kind of got 3 in a row. I've explained this in previous videos, but at the moment they are looking gorgeous and glamorous and just full of life, and even though they're white flowers and they don't have loads of colour, I find it very calming. And I do find that after the craze of tulip season, what I am craving is more pastel hues. And so this time of year, I tend to have lots of pinks and whites and more pastel-y colours and less of the brights. And then as we come into dahlia season, I do add more brights, but I really sort of veer towards these sort of more restful colours, I think. So this is where the Deutzia cherry blossom, Yuki cherry blossom is, and then we'll walk through the arch towards the viburnums. So ignore this sort of wasteland over here, we are dealing with that. There are going to be loads of plants in this border soon. We had so much rain yesterday, and so what's happened is the viburnums have drooped a little bit, but I am going to be pruning the undersides of these viburnums once they've finished flowering, because I do want to raise the canopy a little bit. And then as we come through, there's another viburnum over here. And in front of it, oh, let's not forget that I've got a self-seeded foxglove here. These are not weeds over here, these are self-seeded Panicum frosted explosion, and so there's just going to be a swathe of loads of grasses. I am going to have to take some of those out, and I may transplant them into another border, but that's what all of those are. They're going crazy. There's also a little self-seeded Clarkia in there. But over here, this pop of pink in this corner, you can see that this viburnum's a little bit smaller, and that's because it was planted after the others. But this pop of pink over here is a peony called Coral Charm, and it's just coming into flower. It's so gorgeous. We're going to have some alliums. There are more peonies over here, and my Queen of Sweden are just starting to bud up. And I've got loads, I've got 6 Queen of Sweden over here. This is a little bit of a problem area for me. I've got a really pretty red Physocarpus here, but this plant here, apparently it spreads like crazy, and I really don't want that in this bed. So I'm going to have to dig that out and plant it somewhere else. I'm so scared of it that I may eliminate it altogether. And again, at the bottom here, there's loads of self-seeded stuff. So this is all self-seeded Cephalaria gigantea, which is the giant scabious, which I have a mound of here. Moving along from that viburnum and peony is the new pergola that we planted up this year. And you can catch that in a previous video on my channel. But there is a lilac that's just finishing flowering here. It's a white lilac, and to be honest with you, the blooms were kind of ruined by the rain. And then in front of it, I've got some lovely pale blue Veronica. And then this is an Ito peony called Julia's Rose, and it's just started to bloom, and it is the prettiest pale, peachy, pinky, corally coloured peony. I nearly called it a tulip. And the colours of the flowers change. They start off a darker colour, and then they fade to this gorgeous pale colour that I just described, and then they go almost pale lemony yellow cream towards the end. So there are so many buds on this peony, and the blooms are absolutely enormous. And they're just such pretty colours. But going through the arch, we've got some alliums that are just starting to flower over here. And I've got my first clematis flower. This is a clematis called Guernsey Cream. And you can see that it's still tied to its stake because it didn't quite reach the pole. But I am going to have to untie it, especially now that it's done its flowering. I wasn't expecting much flower-wise from this clematis this year because we planted it really late, like only recently in the last week or two. And then just behind it over here, just coming into flower now are some Sweet Williams, and the scent of the Sweet William combined with the scent from the lilac is absolutely intoxicating. And I can imagine, you know, when this archway or pergola is filled with blossom from the roses, it's going to be incredible. And then just in the corner over here is, I think it's called Centranthus. I can't remember what the name is of that plant in English, like common name. The forget-me-nots are still going really strong, looking really good against the Cotinus. I just think that that's such a pretty combination. It's very striking. So this is the Ito peony I was just showing you, Julia's rose. There's a lovely tulip still fighting the good fight in the middle there. And then we've got another thalictrum that is flowering beautifully right there. I think it's just pulling all the colours together. So these are the feverfew that we transplanted last weekend. They are looking a little bit droopy. I may have to come out with some water. But what I wanted to show you around this side is that some of the Dara that I sowed directly, which I never normally do, have actually decided to start growing. I've identified 2 that are definitely growing. And I've surrounded them with stones so that Richard doesn't weed them because I know what he's like. So this is the grass border and it's looking really cute. These are the grasses that the birds pulled up when they were trying to find nesting material. A lot of them have survived. I think this one here, although a little bit brown, has actually got some green growth in it. So I think it'll be okay. Then we've got the Cirsium atropurpureum with the lovely purple thistles, and we've got a salix called Flamingo, which has got gorgeous pinky white variegated foliage. And I think the combination of those 2 is looking really cute. So there's also an iris budding up there, and then further along we've got some Astrantia that I moved from. In fact, I think I moved it from one of the patio beds, and it's coming back really strong, which is lovely to see. So this is what we call the bottom bed, and I planted some sweet peas, I think last week, and they have not been eaten by slugs and snails. And in fact, they're growing really well, so I'm quite impressed with that. There isn't too much colour along this bed, but just over here there's another Viburnum opulus. Again, it's a much younger plant, and I'm really hoping that that will just bring a nice rhythm by adding a Viburnum in this flower bed here. It will sort of tie in the whole garden by just having a little bit of repeat. So there's the Viburnum in amongst a few weeds. And then everything else is just starting. There's another thalictrum here. This is a honeysuckle called Kinsley's Ghost, which I'm really happy to have. And I'll take you around the other side and we'll have a look at that rose over there. And this is my red bud. So this is a Cercis called Carolina Sweetheart, and it's got gorgeous variegated foliage, and it's just bright pink at this time of year. It's so cute. So this is the first actual rose in the garden that's in flower, and this one's called Festive Jewel. So happy to see a lovely rose already. And then just down here, this is my wedding cake tree, but it just looks so pretty. I can imagine when it's bigger how gorgeous this tree is going to be. And then just over there, let's go and have a look at that. So I have absolutely no idea why this has only flowered at the bottom and none of the top. This is a Colwitzia called Pink Cloud, and it's got the prettiest little pink flowers, very apple blossomy again, amongst a few weeds. Yes, I can see the weeds there. And then over in this bed, we do also have some more Fringe Cups looking glorious. It's a really nice combination of colours. So we've got the Eleagnus Quicksilver behind, and then the lime green of the Fringe Cups, and then this dark purple, I think it's an Actia. So now from the bottom of the garden we're going to head over to the massive Rose Arch. So on both sides of the Rose Arch I have got the Generous Gardener, some White Sweet Williams and Claire Austin, and that's on both sides of the Rose Arch. And the Sweet Williams smells incredible, and it's not going to be long until we have some roses here. I do need to tie them in. On this side of the rose arch there's some gorgeous purple anemones that I left in from last year, so they were a surprise. And there are also some ranunculus that were left in by mistake, so they're another lovely surprise. And then this is just a colour combination that I adore, with the pink tulips and the silver Elaeagnus. So on this side of the rose arch, this is an Aquilegia called Clementine Flora, and it's one of the granny's bonnets that doesn't have, or columbines, it doesn't have a spike on the back of it. It's a lovely, very, very pale lavendery mauve colour. The scent from the lilacs and the sweet William is just intoxicating. There are some cute little alliums dotted around. I'm not sure what these alliums are called, I'll have to look that up. So on this side I've got some Campanula. This is just a white form. This is planted way too close to the edge of the border and it's flopping, which is a bit annoying. And I've actually got 6 plants here. I kind of need to move them, but I'm going to wait until they finish flowering, maybe do it in the autumn. And then we're back here to where the pergola is. At the front here I've got some more of the Clementine Flora Aquilegia, but this one is a white one. I really like finding sweet little surprises like the alliums that I planted underneath this hibiscus. This is a hardy hibiscus, which is pink, and they're just sweet little alliums popping up everywhere. Another fantastic thing about the Elaeagnus Quicksilver, not only is the colour so calming and soothing and just perfect, but these flowers smell incredible. The aroma, the wafts that come over me as I walk past, just amazing. I think it's gorgeous. I could stand here all day just sniffing. I think I've shown you everything that's in flower or about to flower at the moment in the garden. Again, apologies for the weeds. I really hope you've enjoyed this garden tour. There'll be another one coming soon, because as soon as the roses are out and all the peonies are out, I will be doing another tour. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. Give this one a like if you've enjoyed it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.